Is Mississippi State committed enough to football? Well, Paul Finebaum, he made some interesting quotes about that. We'll talk about that and more. That's coming up.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Well, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Go to FanDuel.com. I'm Jaron Spohr, a national college football writer for Athlon Sports. That's Landon. We have a packed show today. We're going to break down Paul Finebaum's comments on the Mississippi State football program and kind of the state of the program. Also, we're going to react to maybe the play of the year in college baseball. It was a heck of a play. We'll talk about that. And also, there was a new listing that came out ranking the top SEC teams, or towns rather, and where does Starkville rank? We'll talk about that. That's a little later in the show. Let's start with Paul Finebaum's comments. He said on his show, the Paul Finebaum Show, I believe it was on Friday's episode, he said, he was asked about Mississippi State's commitment to winning, and really he was first asked, is Jeff Lebby a good coach? And he said, well, I don't think that's really the question. Then he said, do they have a program that can support a winning football program? He said, I think Jeff Lebby's a very good coach, but I don't know if the apparatus around him is sustainable. So some interesting questions about the state of the program.
Yeah, and I mean, I get where he's coming from, especially with how much money you see all these programs shelling out in NIL deals. I mean, everyone was talking about last year, Ohio State spent like $20 million reportedly. Right. Texas is supposed to be in that 30 to 40 this year. Yeah. And apparently Texas Tech spent like $15 million just on transfers. So, right. I mean, you hear these numbers, and if you're not a program listed among those top teams with how the landscape has shifted, it's hard to understand where the question comes from. Now, I do think there's more to it than just NIL, but when you see those numbers getting thrown around, that's where the conversation tends to start.
Yeah, and I wrote a whole article on this, so you can check that out over on Athlon. But I think it's interesting because, recently he mentioned how he thought they were all in on baseball. And so if that's the case, and he didn't say this, but it's just me kind of trying to put two to two together, do they have their priorities in the wrong location? Yes, Mississippi State baseball program is a better overall program, but it's not your moneymaker. Football is always going to be your moneymaker. So are your priorities in the wrong place? Are you too focused on baseball and not focused enough on football? And then, like you said, there's also the NIL aspect of it. He didn't say that was the reason for his skepticism, but 24/7 Sports gave a list of the top NIL collectives and top 25 NIL collectives. There's 12 SEC teams in that top 25. Mississippi State's not one of them.
Right. And then I found another list, I believe it was on 3. They had they did one that was the top 15 and then like the 20 most ambitious. And Mississippi State was not on either one of those. As someone who loves baseball and wish it was on TV more, it's hard for me to ever say that I think someone needs to invest less into baseball. But when it comes to how college sports operate, football has to fund everything else.
Yes.
I mean, like the best baseball programs, the best basketball programs make enough to kind of sustain themselves and have a little extra. Football is the one that funds everything.
Well, yeah, think of the best football programs. The reason why they also have nice baseball facilities is because the football program. That's why they have the nice facilities. That's why they have, nice, buildings on campus. The football program funded that. I mean, just because it's just king, and especially in the South and the SEC, it's just king. And it's one of those things that it's a tricky conversation because I am not one of those that just think, hey, you just have to go all in on football and you leave everything else out and it just is what it is. No, you need to be able to fund stuff, somewhat equally, but football needs to always be the thing that gets the most. I mean, that's just how it has to be. But so the thing with Mississippi State, the question is, are you trying to fund everything equally? Because if you are, that does not work because you, like I said, football has to come first. Or are you putting more money into baseball than you are football? Are you ranking it in terms of what is our best sport? And that's what will fund the most. Because even if you take that approach, that is not the right approach.
Yeah, you kind of have to look at the whole equality versus was it like equity thing. Like,
Right.
not everything can be the same. Everything has to be this like in line with how it ranks. And we'll see kind of what happens because, like Finebaum said, I believe we're both in agreement that Levy is a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
If we start to see the results on the field, maybe you see the support off the field as well.
Right.
So it might just be kind of we're in a weird space where they're not ready to go all in yet because it's like, well, will we be facing another rebuild in 2 years under a new coach? Right. Like, what'll happen? We don't want to go all in yet. So maybe that's where they are. But I think if Levy starts to show some results on the field, we'll get an answer very soon.
Well, and another thing he might be talking about, if he's not talking about NIL, is he talking about just the backing of the program in terms of, are you paying coaches? Are you paying them at an elite type level where you're competitive? Or it doesn't have to be elite. Are you competitive in the SEC by paying coaches? You mentioned maybe they're not ready to go full in on Levy because they want to see the results. Well, did you have to hire Levy because of how much money you're paying coaches? And I don't mean that in a bad way to Levy. He was going to get a head coaching job because he's done really well as an offensive coordinator. But was it like, I have to hire an offensive coordinator that's never been a head coach before because I can't afford to go pull at least a decent head coach away? I'm not saying you're going to pull Kirby Smart away because you're not going to. But I'm saying, could you have pulled a decent head coach away from the university because you're going to pay them more? But you weren't able to do that, and you're not going to do that. So that's why you had to go hire Jeff Levy. So I don't know exactly what he meant. He didn't clarify it, but there's a lot of things that now open up question marks about the program.
Yeah. And when you make a statement like that, you really wonder, especially with someone like Finebaum, who's just around everything so much.
Yeah, he knows it all.
What statement or little piece of information does he have that he can't share that's kind of leading him down this road? And I mean, these are the ones we've come up with are like the big ones. Is it NIL? Is it paying coaches? Is it funding other things? Really, what is it that's making him question it? And, we've talked about some with baseball or basketball players transferring, like stepping stone program. You don't want this football team to become essentially a stepping stone program. And if you're only hiring offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators who have never had coaching experience, hoping to get lucky,
right?
That guy doesn't have ties to this university. I mean, there's a chance he uses this as a stepping stone, and you can't afford to do that.
Yeah. And another thing is, how committed are you to the transfer portal? Now, on that front, I would say they're very committed. They had the 16th ranked class this year. It seems like that's something they are committed in doing and using. And I will say this: Jeff Levy, as the offense coordinator at Oklahoma, was big in helping with the NIL process.
Yes.
And so maybe that's why he's hired, because he can come in and bring that NIL focus to the school. And so that might have played a role in it. Maybe they knew they were behind in NIL. They wanted to get a coach in here that kind of had experience in the negotiations and in the evaluation process. And so that's why Levy was hired. Who knows what ended up happening there? But you're right. Finebaum goes to a lot of these campuses. Finebaum's around the athletic directors. He's around the school presidents. So there's something he's heard. Because, like I said, just a few weeks ago, he was talking to how well, a lot about the president and how well he is very focused on baseball. So Finebaum knows that president, or the president, obviously decently well to make a statement like that. And so for him now to make a statement like this, you wonder, is the president not making the backing that he should be making?
Yeah, and you wonder if it's focused that way or, like we mentioned, in the NIL front. And we've seen it plenty of times with some of these collectives and everything that is a little bit, they seem to be behind. And then all of a sudden they're the ones at the front runner. Like, no one really heard about Tennessee's NIL thing until they gave Nico all the money. Right. Ohio State was just your average NIL program until they saw Michigan win. Then they threw all the money into it. Texas Tech reached out to all their oil billionaires, and now they have a massive one. Andrew Luck is trying to get Stanford's going. in a
Right.
better place now. So, I mean, with how weird the NIL landscape has become, everyone's kind of hitting it at different paces. So maybe they are a little behind, and maybe that is why they brought in Levy. Now, with the whole paying students thing possibly passing the House or Senate, wherever it is right now, that could change this conversation in another way. So it'll be
Right.
interesting to see how it shakes out.
Well, and then another thing is on the top 25, I didn't see Ole Miss on there. So is it a Mississippi thing? Is there something where just the Mississippi schools don't have the backing, don't have the funding, don't have the maybe alumni to help pay for all this stuff, which, I believe Mississippi State does, but maybe they're just not getting that alumni support because Mississippi's having the same issue. I believe Vanderbilt was another one that wasn't on there. I can't remember who the fourth one was that wasn't on there, but so now you wonder about that. But the one thing we know about Ole Miss, they're all in on football. And so they are spending big on football. So that tells me if they're not in the top 25, they're maybe not spending well everywhere else, but they're really focused on football. And their other programs are still good. We saw basketball, men's basketball is really good.
Very good.
We saw, obviously the softball team this weekend, baseball team's very good. And so maybe they're just saying, hey, you're not going to get a lot of NIL money anyways as these kind of sport athletes. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously basketball will get a little bit more than maybe baseball and softball. So maybe they're saying, hey, we're going all in on football. The other ones, y'all figure it out.
Yeah, you do have to look at that a little bit. And that, I mean, hey, I know at least one Mississippi State graduate who has a lot of money hanging around who cares about the football program.
Right.
Well, maybe Dak will send a little money down the road.
Yeah, we need him on the phone, making some phone calls. Maybe make him the assistant GM. We're seeing all these players be assistant GM, so bring him in. But all right, well, coming up next, was it the play of the year? We'll talk about it. Well, the NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Some of the things that you need to ask yourself: which players are showing up in the biggest moments, and how could tracking their trends help build your next bet? You see a guy, he's starting to get on a heater. We saw Fred VanVleet before they were eliminated, got on a 3-point heater. Maybe you bet the over on his 3-pointers made on an upcoming game. So maybe that's a game you look at. Also, if you've got a read on who's heating up, why not back it up with a same game parlay? So he's playing really well in the game. Throw some money on a parlay and see if you can absolutely hit that. We saw Buddy Hield going back to the same Warriors Rockets series. He was having a hot first half. Maybe you put a second half parlay on it and a bet down on that. Well, are you new to FanDuel? Because it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, in the top of the 9th inning, it was a crazy play, and this was in the last game of the series between Kentucky. It was a 6-1 win for Mississippi State. Top of the 9th, no outs. We wanted to talk about this on yesterday's podcast. We just had too much going on, but top of the 9th, no outs. It's one strike, no balls. And it's blasted out to deep center. Michael O'Brien makes an incredible catch. And Landon, first kind of talk about what was your first reaction when you saw the play, and then we'll kind of talk about what it means to the season.
I mean, when I love watching a home run get robbed, and that was, I mean, the jump was picture perfect, and just the arm going back over the fence a little bit. I've watched that play, I don't know how many times over the last 24 hours. Honestly, the most impressive part of it to me is the jump he gets on it. Like as soon as that camera pans out to center field, he is already in a dead sprint toward the wall. He read it perfectly.
Yeah, no, he did. And this is my favorite thing about this whole play. So Michael O'Brien, for those that haven't maybe kept up with baseball this year, he's only appeared in 21 games. And in this game, if you look at his hitting stats, he has no hitting stats. Why is that? Because he had just checked in to the game. He checked in for the top of the ninth inning, if I remember correctly. He just checked in, robs the home run, and I know a lot of people will say, hey, it would have been 6-2. You're probably still winning. We've seen with this team, first off, they can blow leads. We've also seen, that could give a team momentum. A quick solo shot home run, maybe that gets you rallying. They had no outs at the time, so maybe that gets you some momentum for Kentucky. You've got some things going well, and maybe you can make a run. And like we've said, we've seen Mississippi State give up leads. We've seen this pitching staff struggle. You never know what happens, but as soon as that happened, it sucked the energy out of Kentucky, gave you a big momentum, and obviously that carried through. So if it's not the play of the year, I'll struggle to find a play better.
Yeah, me too. And it did. I mean, it gave for that game. It didn't end on that play. They had to still get 2 more outs, but that really effectively ended it because you just felt like the energy just increased and absolutely elite celebration after robbing that home run, just screaming out there. That was. I love a good defensive replacement at the end of games, and it was beautiful. It clearly locked down that game, and hopefully we do see the momentum carry forward because you see it all the time. Usually, I mean, you see it a lot in games. Someone will make a huge play, and then the next time they get up to bat, they hit a big hit, or the team starts putting up a bunch of runs. There's just something about making the big play in the field that translates not only to the next at bat, but to the rest of the game and to the team when something like that happens.
Yeah, and now you're sitting at 29-19. You've got a massive series this weekend against Ole Miss at home in Starkville. You don't play any midweek games, so that's nice. You literally get a week off before you play, and you're coming off a sweep, and Ole Miss is coming off losing 2 out of 3 in Norman against the Sooners. Actually, I think that might have been at home. I can't remember if that was at home. Yeah, I think it was in Norman. So, anyways, they lost the series 2-1, and so you have some momentum. Ole Miss is a little taken back after the series lost. And again, maybe you can get on a roll here. We talked about it on yesterday's show. After the Ole Miss series, you got North Alabama. After that, you got a Missouri team who doesn't even have a conference win. Yeah, they're might be the worst team in FBS baseball right now.
That's rough for Missouri. I mean, they have a pretty solid history, so it's just rough for them to be down there. But yeah, I mean, you're
0-24 in the SEC.
Yeah,
they've lost 11 straight as of now.
You're in a good place, though. I mean, if you can carry some of this momentum going forward, it could be a very uplifting ending. And we talked about how we want them to play fun baseball. This is very fun baseball. Robbing home runs is fun baseball, and hopefully it continues going forward. And we see, lack of errors. The bat's still hot coming out. Going in this Ole Miss series, and we continue to build some momentum. And hopefully it goes into the SEC tournament.
Yeah, I'm looking at Missouri right now. They have lost 19 of their last 21 games.
Who were the 2 they won?
It was Missouri State and it was SIUE. That's the only 2 they've beaten. And Missouri State was a 10-9 victory.
Ooh.
So it was very close.
They're having a real rough year.
Rough year. That's when you if you don't sweep, it's an embarrassing end to this season, into the regular season at least. But no, that's why if you go and take 2 out of 3 against Ole Miss, and then you go and take that one, it's big. But yeah, no, back to the play. I mean, it's one of the better plays that I've seen. Like you said, we see robbed home runs. I wouldn't say super often, but you at least see a couple a year. Not just in college baseball, I'm just talking about in baseball in general, major leagues, all that. And they're awesome to see. And that one, the hardest part, in my opinion, is just timing the jump right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very hard time, especially on that one. Normally, the robbed home runs you see are typically the big, like, moonshot type home runs that fall down right over the fence and give the guy time to kind of run up and time the jump. He didn't have time to do that. This was just a dead sprint, leap at the wall, and he nailed it. It's like you said, if it's not the play of the year, I can't wait to see the catch that is.
Right. And you can kind of see at the end of the play, he starts to stutter. So he's really trying to focus on timing that play perfectly. And he does. Props to him.
If you haven't seen it, go watch it, 10, 12, 14 times.
Yeah. Mississippi State baseball account, their official account tweeted out. We retweeted it. So go to one of those and you'll definitely find it. All right, coming up next, the top SEC towns have been released. Where does Mississippi State rank? We'll talk about it.
Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. Finding the right talent. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivered incredible results. With fast and easy hiring, posting a job is free and simple. Within a day, multiple qualified candidates to choose from. Cost effective growth instead of hiring full time. Upwork helps find affordable top tier freelancers to scale my business efficiently. Visit upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's upwork.com. Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, so the next round, which is on Twitter, so you can see this poll on Twitter. They are basically a podcast sports show. They talk about a bunch of stuff, but Jim Dunaway is one of the hosts, and he gave the top 5 SEC towns. So, number 5, he has Athens, Georgia, which, of course, home of the Georgia Bulldogs. Auburn, Alabama, obviously home of Auburn. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, home of LSU. And at number 2, he has Starkville, Mississippi, for home of the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And number 1, he has Austin, Texas. So, before we really dive into the Mississippi State thing, or maybe it is that's what caught your eye the most, what caught your eye the most about the list?
That the person who made this list has been to Austin once.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sorry. Like as someone who has grown up in Texas, I've never understood the appeal of Austin. I've been there many times, both for games and not. I don't get it. I don't like the atmosphere.
I don't either.
It's not a good college atmosphere. It's a weird place to be. Yeah. And I'm just not a fan. Personally, I'm surprised Baton Rouge wasn't number 1. But
right. Right. Well, and the question is, what are you ranking these on? Are you ranking it on college atmosphere? Because like Baton Rouge would be higher than that. Because Texas is not Austin, Texas. There's basically no college atmosphere. It feels like almost a professional sporting event, and this is why I don't really like going to especially NFL sporting events. Some of the places you get like crazy crowds, like Green Bay, and places that don't really have these diehard college fans, but it's just kind of, you just sit back, lay back, watch your game, and then, okay, you did something cool. And it's because you got this big city, and that's the appeal. It's the big city. And so that's why I don't know what they're ranking it on. But in my opinion, Nashville, if you're looking for a city to party in, is a better city than Austin is. And that's, obviously Vanderbilt's there. So, I mean, I would rank them higher. And funny enough, I will say Ryan Brown, who is the other co-host, he ranked his top 5 also. He had Auburn at number 5, Lexington, Kentucky, where the Kentucky Wildcats are, at number 4, Knoxville, Tennessee at number 3. He had Oxford, Mississippi at number 2, and then he did have Nashville, Tennessee at number 1.
That is such a confusing list.
Yeah,
because when
all over the place.
When you start going up from the bottom, you're like, oh, I guess he is ranking like actual like atmosphere,
right?
And then you get Nashville, like, did he just decide he wanted to party when he got to 1?
Yeah.
No, not Vanderbilt. Like when the fans show up to something, that gets crazy. But I would never think of them as like a great college atmosphere.
Right. I agree. I'm glad Stark Vegas got some love though, and the other guys' poll with being number 2. They needed some love on that because it is a great atmosphere. If you haven't seen a game there, it's a great atmosphere. I also just kind of like the city, and doesn't have. That's the one thing about a lot of the SEC schools. Really, Texas is, and I guess Vanderbilt as well, are really the only 2 that they just feel like these massive cities, whereas all the other ones kind of feel like your college cities, even though some of them are big and some, bigger than others, obviously, but they still feel like the college atmosphere.
Yeah, and that's what I love about the college towns, the ones that are like just big enough to hold the college.
Right.
It's all focused on that. Those are the ones that you really feel it on game day. Doesn't matter if it's football, basketball. It just feels different when you're walking around those cities on those when they have the right kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, and we've done all these lists this year. It's nice to finally be ranked near the top in one of them.
Yeah, it really is. It feels good.
Yeah, we needed it. We needed some pick me up. But all right, well, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Jaron. Check out my work over at Athlon Sports. Like I said, I just wrote a story on Mississippi State yesterday, so check that out over there. That's Landon. Follow Locked On Mississippi State. We're on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Follow us there. We post daily videos, Monday through Friday at least. So check those out. And also, we leave, again, I've said this a few times, we leave questions on each of the YouTube videos. We love to hear your replies on it. We love to hear story ideas or topic ideas, I guess I should say. And also, we post a poll that's a different question. So we love your feedback on that as well. Until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.